when you're coming home from work and you're almost home and your butthole is talking to you, and it's just like it's all right there. It's like your body knows that when you're close to home, it's just like it's coming. It's coming now.
We're ready. I feel like the worst ones though are when you feel like you really have to shit, but then you go to the bathroom. There's like a little bit of shit at the front. And then it's like all gas after that. Like you didn't even really shit all.
What do you think that was when you were on your fucking duty call?
It
was like a few turds, and most of it was just fucking hot protein gas. And it's just like I've been sitting here fucking ripping this entire episode. I don't know if you smelled it or heard it.
I've luckily not. So there are times where like I feel like I really have to shit. I'm like, oh god, like we might not make it. There's like almost no shit involved,
or no shit at all.
There's only a couple turds, and then you're just like all gas. Like, you're like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, you can feel like your body deflate after that.
Yeah, it's like
you can feel all
your
that
guts.
pressure.
Your guts just drop.
Like your entire, like all the pressure is gone, and you're like, I feel better, but what the hell? Like,
And we're back.
And we're back
with a new episode of the Blacklisted Gaming Podcast. Nelson, glad to have you here, buddy.
Are you?
Yeah, we had our good workout today.
Yeah.
It was such a good workout. Now we're drinking protein. Protein bros. Sharing protein. So anyway, we had a week off due to the fact that Navy decided to fuck Nelson over.
Yay.
At the very last minute. You know, you saying when you brought up the whole for those that don't know, what happened was that his unit was like, "Hey, you're moving barracks," and they told him at like the absolute last possible minute and said, "You pretty much have a day to get the fuck out."
Yeah. Well, then it's also weird too, because then they were like, "Hey, so you actually have until this time to get out." And I was like, "What the fuck? Like, what is it? Do I need to be out by like Monday, Wednesday, Friday?" Like, we didn't know, so we were kind of struggling there with it.
When I was active duty, like they moved me barracks, I want to say 4 times in the 3 years I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, what the fuck? That goddamn Carol Baskin, like you can hear the fucking thing behind you.
I did not know what that was. I was like, what the hell?
I had to turn down your levels so that way it doesn't catch it. So anyway, what happened was when I was active duty was that my bro, what the hell? I might have to actually fuck with the threshold for a second. Give me a minute. Sorry, everyone. I didn't expect the fan to just pick up like that. That was really
weird.
Well, let's bump that threshold up. There we go. Go ahead and talk on that.
In what way?
Like that. That's good.
Okay. That's fine.
So anyway, yeah, when I was active duty, they made me move barracks 4 times in the 3 years I was there.
Fuck.
And it was like different barracks and different sides of post. Granted, post wasn't really all that massive, so it wasn't too crazy, but at the same time,
still sucked.
It still sucked. I was basically living out of like my bags, and a couple of like clothes baskets because there was no real way to settle in. I couldn't settle into any of my barracks rooms because of that, and it sucked. And and the worst part was I wasn't on the first floor. One of them I was because it was only all 1 level barracks.
Oh, okay.
And the other barracks, they were like, "You're going to the 3rd floor." I'm like, "Dude," and the elevator's broken, by the way. And I'm like, "Come on." And they never fixed in the barracks they moved me in at the end. They were like brand new barracks, and the elevator was still broken. And it was funny because I remember there was a soldier that was like kind of a bigger guy, and he was what happened was he broke the elevator from his weight.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he was leaving anyway. He was like completely getting out, and he just decided to go ahead and just go on a food spree and eat everything in front of him.
Yeah, but to break the elevator?
Yeah, the elevators were already fucked up as it was.
Jesus, and it's still like Christ.
I know. And he fucking panicked. They had to rescue him because he was stuck in the elevator.
That's funny though.
It's super funny because it's just like, you got stuck in the elevator, bro? He's just like, yeah, it fucking sucked. It was just like, hey, I'm so fat I broke the elevator. Anyway,
You've been waiting to use that, haven't you?
I didn't even realize these worked because I thought I had to program them.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize they were pre-programmed until Alicia accidentally pushed a button. She's like, "What's this do?" And I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck? Okay." And yeah, that's how I figured that out. So yeah, now you get a monitor. So welcome to the club where you can actually hear.
Yay!
Now you can hear how you sound, so you can adjust yourself.
Thanks.
And not have me say, "Get closer."
Get closer.
Get closer to the microphone, because now you can actually tell when you need to get closer, because I have the noise gate on to where it doesn't pick up so much background noise and it shuts the background noise out.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can go ahead and figure that out on your own.
Excellent.
So not a lot of topics this week.
No.
There was some topics that I did discuss. You know what? There's one more I wanted to add. I'm not sure how relevant it still is. But remember when we talked about the NVIDIA hackers?
Yeah.
Well, they're also now, they were able to hide malware in the driver updates.
Oh.
And in a way to where like Microsoft Defender won't recognize it. So it looks, and they were able to steal the certificates from NVIDIA to authenticate the driver update so that it looks legit.
Shit.
And people will download it.
Damn.
And them doing that will install malware to their fucking computers and shit. So
very nice.
With that, go ahead. Like, I want to tell everyone this, and I don't know why you wouldn't do this in the beginning. If you're gonna do a driver update on your NVIDIA GPUs, do it from the NVIDIA website only. I don't know why you would go third party with a driver update in the beginning. It just doesn't seem like a good idea in like off the bat anyway. It's like, sure, you have sites that you trust, but I mean, still, like, malicious activity is still a thing.
Yeah.
Why don't you do it from the source? Why would you ever get it? It's like buying a game off of a fucking something else other than Steam or Epic Game Store, or whatever storefront that publisher has.
I don't know.
It's like going to fucking LimeWire to find a video game or music. Remember the LimeWire days?
I remember when LimeWire got really fucked up, people were switching to Frostwire like it would be any different.
Oh, dude, I forgot about Frostwire. Yeah, I remember that too.
No, I remember that debacle. I actually, because it was my sister who gave the computer a virus from LimeWire.
Oh yeah.
And then and then she tried Frostwire because it was like a new update or new whatever the fuck they were calling it. And so it was kind of funny because looking back on it, I was like, so LimeWire gave our computer a virus. Cool. All right, happens. So we're gonna use a new product called Frostwire because it'll be something different.
Remember, I often remember like downloading music off LimeWire and it was a completely different song than what it said it was.
Sometimes that would happen, yeah.
Like I found a song that said Johnny Cash, and I was like downloading a bunch of Johnny Cash shit.
Yeah,
and it was a super racist song. It was like
different time.
It was, but it wasn't Johnny Cash.
Right.
It was somebody else. And I was
Didn't
like,
even try to sound like Johnny Cash.
No, it wasn't. It was. I mean, it was. The name of the song was called "Ship Those N-Words Back."
Oh.
And I was like, bro, this is not. This can't be a Johnny Cash song. It was somebody, but it was said Johnny Cash. And it kind of sounds like him, but I'm like, no, this sounds like a very old song that's like pre-Johnny Cash, like 1930s.
Yeah.
But it was like extreme. I didn't even expect it. Like, I was just like, it was, what was the name? Are you putting fucking energy?
I drank like half of it, and so I'm tired of drinking out of 2 different containers.
So you're mixing your protein shake with fucking Venom energy drink?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. What the fuck? Anyway. But anyway, enough with LimeWire and stuff and all the malware. So if you're going to download an NVIDIA driver, make sure that you just do it from the site. This week we have some pretty interesting and one would say good news about NFTs.
Dude, I think you need to seek counseling.
Why?
Because you keep talking about this.
I don't mean to.
No, yes, you do.
No, I don't. I just look at what's the hot topics in the gaming industry, and NFTs are often.
Yeah, and heroin addicts just happen to have jab marks in their arms, man.
Dude, do you think I want this?
Yes.
No, I don't. Do you
You're
think
sounding like a heroin addict?
I don't mean to sound like a heroin addict. It's just, the heroin is just too much. I got to do it.
I don't mean to hurt you.
You're hurting me. You're breaking my heart. You're breaking my heart, Anakin. So, but the good news is that NFTs, the sales are declining. So the NFTs
I bet they are.
It was only a matter of time.
Well, there was actually a pretty good sized pushback to it as well.
Oh, the backlash was nuts.
Where they were like, "Hey, no, we're going to push back against this." It was companies, it was Gabe Newell, it was a whole bunch of other people.
So based off the sales numbers, it looks like NFTs are not doing hot. There's a game coming out called Perfect Dark. If any of you guys are like old, like remember this game, which I'm one of them. I never played it, but I do remember it. They were rebooting it, and it was unveiled in 2020 that they were working on it, and it was also unveiled like late last year that that production was well underway. Well, it would seem that the development for this game is under some horrible times right now, as they've lost more than half of their staff. And now the fucking staff is less than 50 people. Oh. And one of the staff, they've actually lost like some very key people, like their game director, the creative director, their narrative like lead and stuff like that. It's a lot of people have left, a lot of key ones. So we'll dive into that. We finally have a conclusion from DrDisrespect's lawsuit with Twitch.
Oh, okay, shit. Like, what's going on?
He has settled his lawsuit with Twitch, and we still don't know anything.
Then why did you make it sound like we got a conclusion?
Because it's an update. Oh, I mean, it technically is a conclusion.
I don't know, whatever.
There's a little bit more to it. We'll actually talk about it when we get there. But his lawsuit with Twitch was settled. Dead Space, for all you Dead Space fans, and I'm assuming you're one of them.
Yes.
Dead Space is getting a reboot, and it's going to be out in early 2023.
I don't... Come up with your own shit. Stop rebooting things.
Well, I mean, Dead Space 3 kind of left everybody wanting... It was... I think I want to say Dead Space 3 left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and they were like, we can't end it like that.
I mean, that's not my prerogative. The issue is... We started off this fucking episode. Hey guys, we're back. Here's a reboot. NFTs, no conclusion, reboot. Like it's
listen, bro. I'm sorry. I'm only reporting the news.
I know, but
it doesn't have to be good news.
But I'm just tired of
it doesn't have to be new news.
Like there were some things that people legitimately wanted more of because they were repeatable things. Right? If you wanted like another Super Mario World, you could do that and like make the levels interesting.
Not without getting sued by Nintendo.
Oh, well, true. But, things like when Crash Bandicoot got rebooted, that was fine for like one game or so. Like, just like, oh, cool. It's kind of a throwback. Awesome. Hey, we're going to completely restart a series. And we know that we're going to do it worse than the first people did it. So, like, just come up with your own shit.
How do you know it's not the same? It's not the same developer.
Because Dead Space was around too long ago. It's like, does Halo remotely look like what its last fucking Halo 3 from when Bungie was in there? No. You know what I mean?
Infinite's pretty close, I gotta say.
I mean, no, not really. It's not.
Have you played it?
I mean, I've seen enough.
It feels more old school Halo than the other ones.
I'll
since 343 took over.
I'll rescind my opinion when you get Elden Ring and play it.
Listen, man.
I don't like those games. Hasn't tried it.
Once you touch Grace, you'll fuck yourself.
He doesn't know.
I don't know. So we got Street Fighter 6, right?
Yeah.
So Capcom, as you know, like the fighting game community, they host a lot of tournaments.
Still an enigma to me, but
I mean, the fighting game tournaments, yeah, I mean, people still play that? Yeah, they do. And it's pretty popular still, and there's a lot of money in these tournaments. And Capcom came out with an update to their license agreement for Street Fighter V and going forward about hosting events and tournaments. And the fighting game tournaments, the fighting game leagues out there are fucking pissed.
What's different about it?
One, you can only host so many tournaments in a year, and the max amount of money for those tournaments is collective total of all the tournaments put together. So they put a cap on how much you can win at these tournaments per year, not per each organization has a cap that they can, and each tournament, which means if they want to be able to host tournaments, they have to host a minimum of these amount of tournaments, but they cannot use the cap on the tournament. They have to split that max throughout each tournament, meaning that the tournament money is going to be less. The only people that can actually have tournaments with more of a higher prize is Capcom.
That's
and people are like, oh, so you're basically like,
good luck with that.
You're basically holding on to that and just basically gatekeeping the fucking prize money.
So I think so is this for all games?
This is for Street Fighter.
Then, well, I meant like, is this just for the new Street Fighter, or is this like...
This is from Street Fighter V, which is not the new one, and then going forward, because Street Fighter 6 got announced. And there's other things besides the prize that they announced. Basically, they can't broadcast it on anything, anything I think, except Twitch is the only one that can broadcast it. And there's some sponsorship. There's like new rules for sponsorships. There's also new rules of how you name your tournaments. You can't call it Street Fighter V tournament. You have to say fighting game tournament hosted featuring Street Fighter V.
That's dumb as fuck.
Right. So and we'll dive more into it. There's a lot that goes into it in the fighting game community has chalked this up to, even though the Capcom hasn't actually officially said that, but their new rules are essentially saying that they don't want independent organizations to outshine their tournaments, because Capcom does host their own tournaments. Mm-hmm. And what it seems like they're doing is they're trying to gatekeep the spotlight for their tournaments and keeping other organizations from outshining them by hosting bigger tournaments. And it sucks.
That's weird, because then that just makes me think, well, Capcom, why didn't you just do better and host a bigger tournament?
Right. So let's no thanks. I don't want that. All right, let's talk about the NFT sales drops. Let me pull up an article here. Oh, no. I know, dude. I know. So this is
you and your fucking...
What? I don't want to talk about NFTs, but this just seems to be the thing that we're talking.
I feel like you want to talk about NFTs.
I don't want to. So the NFT bubble is showing clear signs of bursting. Let's see here. The average sales price.
Sure.
Well, then there was also like what was that? What was it? That one NFT site that got hacked and like $2 million worth of NFTs were stolen. Gone. So the average sale price of an NFT is now below $2,000 according to Market Tracker and Non-Fungible. That's down from over $6,800 in January. Cumulative daily sales have dropped from 160 million in January to 26 million on Thursday, which, yes, it's a lot of money, but that is a huge drop still. Primary sales of NFTs
lost more than half of its value.
Right.
Like, that's big.
Primary sales of NFTs have also dipped noticeably from nearly 26,000 per day at the beginning of the year to less than 3,200 on Thursday. So basically, they were selling 26,000 per day, and now they're selling less than 3,200.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Secondary market sales are down from January peak at 38,000 per day to just over 7,900. Secondary sales hit a daily record of 103,765 last September, while primary sales spiked as high as 795,000 last August. So even some of the best-known NFTs are seeing their values slip. A Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, which is the Bored Ape, the ape NFT that everyone memes about. The sale on Friday morning seemed like a big dollar transaction at $224,028.62, but that represented a $67,799.54 loss for the seller who bought it at the end of January. Damn.
He must be super pissed.
He was thinking he was probably making a profit, and then he ended up losing out almost 68 grand.
Yeah.
Granted, he still made like 200 something thousand. Not long ago, NFTs had a total market capitalization of $23 billion, exceeding that of CarMax. Oh, that's weird. And Take-Two Interactive Software. I used to work for CarMax. That's why I say that.
Wait, you used to work for CarMax?
Yeah, I worked at inventory. I worked there for 5 years. It was the second longest job I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah. From when I graduated high school till I got fired. Yeah, I got fired. Someone said I was on my phone and I wasn't. It's a long story. So today it's just over 10 billion, according to CoinMarketCap. The drop seems to be caused by a variety of factors ranging from the inflammation to the war in Ukraine to increased regulatory scrutiny on NFTs by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's not just skeptics who have been warning of an NFT collapse, even enthusiasts. It's just like crypto.
Yeah.
Like crypto, like Dogecoin, for example. Dogecoin was on the rise. All the meme stocks were on the rise. And then like the fucking stock, and then Wall Street decided to go ahead and step in and intervene to keep the hedge funds from, collapsing and everyone losing their fucking, their money, and keeping the little guy from earning more money than the fucking head honchos in Wall Street.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like even with this, I mean, everyone's been talking about the NFTs. This is just something that's gonna burst. It's not sustainable. This thing, everyone's going all balls to the wall. Even fucking Mark Zuckerberg with Instagram. He's implementing NFTs into Instagram as a way of turning the metaverse. Fucker.
You might as well get your big gummy snake out for that.
Yeah. You want me to? I'll do it.
You should.
I'll do it. So, even the enthusiastic collectors of digital art have cautioned that a cataclysmic market crash could be on the way as the field becomes oversaturated because of how versatile and accessible NFTs are.
No, they're not, though.
What do you mean?
Versatile? I mean, sure, you can put any image with any serial number on there, I guess, but
that's the versatility of it. You can use them anywhere. But the thing is,
it's retarded. It holds no value.
It doesn't hold any real value at all. But according to this, it does. And
well, I'm just thinking about Ubisoft and Activision.
Even more so, the whole like copy or download image and shit, like basically copy paste. Like it's the same thing. It's like, of course, this is going to lose its value some point down the road. It's just not now, maybe, but it will. That cataclysmic shift hasn't happened despite the current slowdown. Top NFT collections have fared better than Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies since the start of the year, which that will eventually fade. None, however, have outperformed the S&P 500, which itself is down 10.5% year to date. So everybody, NFTs are dying. And in fact, the internet responded in such a funny way. Let's see, NFTs are dying and the internet celebrates. Well, I guess no one's really. Fuck it. No one's really. I don't know. I can't find any news on
I feel
this.
like you're celebrating, Brock.
I'm celebrating inside. I'm screaming inside.
It's fine.
I'm absolutely screaming inside because, it's true. I was hoping this would happen because the blockchain technology, and everyone's even said this, blockchain technology is a great concept, and if used properly, could revolutionize the tech industry. But the implementation of it is the problem.
It's poor, yeah.
Because everyone's using it as a way to make money fast, and you can't. I mean, you can obviously right now, but at some point you're going to cause it to collapse, which is happening right now. It's just like like the bubble in the stock market, like the housing market, for example. It's going to burst. Everything's going to collapse. Your shit's going to be worth nothing. You're luckily to get $5 out of your fucking NFT at that point. Because now the market, like they said in that article, is getting so oversaturated that the worth is getting less and less as time goes by.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet sometime in the next 6 months, like NFTs are gonna fucking pretty much be like it's either gonna balance out and drop significantly, but still be around, or it's just gonna completely collapse. So people are gonna be like, fuck this, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's gonna be the first thing that I said. So for all of you fans of Perfect Dark, bad news. Bad news. So Perfect Dark Studio has lost half of its staff, now less than 50 employees. So the future of the Perfect Dark reboot could be in jeopardy, as numerous of key employees have quit the project over the last 12 months. Yeah. It wasn't like over time.
You were talking about like major positions.
Major positions. And they were leaving by the droves within the last year. So nobody was expecting the Perfect Dark reboot to release anytime soon, considering it was only unveiled in late 2020 with a brief cinematic trailer and no gameplay footage. Since then, however, the project may have experienced a soft reboot, as a large number of key employees at developer The Initiative have left over the past 12 months. The first reported by VGC, the studio has suffered a worryingly large turnover of staff, with roughly half of its employees quitting and bringing the overall total down to less than 50, while below the average you'd expect for a modern big-budget game. Losing a large number of employees is concerning enough, but those who've left include the game director, design director, lead level designer, 2 senior writers, the technical director, the lead animator, and the Q&A lead. When I said and very important people to game development left, those are all key people to making a game not suck.
Fuck.
So not only have you lost the guy that directs the whole game, but you lost the guy that directs the designing. You also lost the guy that leads the level designing.
The story, though.
you lost the 2 senior writers of your narrative. The technical director to make your game mechanics work is gone. The lead animator to make your everything work how it should is gone, and the quality control lead is also gone.
Fuck. Jesus Christ.
Right?
If this game ever comes out, it's going to fucking suck.
So as for what triggered these departures, the former employees point to conflict between staff and the heads of the project. While the initiative's website talks of a collaborative, thoughtful, and self-aware environment, it's said that the studio head, Neil Gallagher, runs things from a more top-down approach. Many senior staff felt they lacked creative autonomy in the design process and weren't heard on key issues. This led to painfully slow development and lack of solid company culture. So basically it was like, from what it sounds like, most of these people left over creative differences. Like they couldn't agree on a direction to go.
It definitely makes me wonder how fucked up stupid their developing was. Not that they're bad at their jobs, but just like the vision that this boss man was trying to like instill in it. Like, this guy must have been a fucking idiot. Like,
I wouldn't say he was an idiot. I just think he had different ideas than everybody else and wasn't willing to accept anybody else's ideas.
That's a fucking idiot. Because, and the reason why I say that this is,
I wouldn't say that's dumb. I say that's arrogance.
This isn't like, hey,
not arrogance.
This isn't like, hey man, like, I got rid of the senior writers just because, you know, we were having a disagreement. You know what I mean? This is, you pissed off the video editor, the level editor, the writers. You piss off your quality control guy, who's not like talking about creative freedom. That man has a job, and there's a way to do that shit. That's not, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Something else is going on here, and it's not just creative differences. Because then you might see like, oh, like that level editor or the level designer was like, hey, I left, you know, there's nothing wrong going on here. We just didn't see eye to eye on this.
Right.
That happens. And that's fine. That's normal. You know what I mean? Like if you have a level creator who is used to doing platformers and you got an open world shooter or an open world, you know, something, you might have some issues there, right? Cool.
Right.
That's okay. Like that'd be fine if like, hey, listen, we didn't mesh well. My style doesn't go well with this. No, we pissed off everybody at every big position who makes this game work. So
not only is it not going to have a solid story, but it's also not going to have solid mechanics. It's not going to have a solid polish. It's not going to have a solid pretty much anything. It's not
graphic design.
The levels are going to be weird. Yeah, all of it's going to be fucking weird. So Making games is hard enough, let alone when you feel like you can't get through to people making the decisions that affect everyone, says one anonymous source. The writing was arguably on the wall when Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics, which is owned by Square Enix, was brought in to assist with the development. Allegedly, Gallagher is now former game director Dan Neuberger, who both worked for Crystal Dynamics, hoped that enlisting help from a studio familiar with their work methods would make production smoother. With so many key figures having left the project, it's believed that Crystal Dynamics will now take a more lead on Perfect Dark than originally planned. This is hardly a good look for the initiative, as its brand new studio with Perfect Dark meant to be its first release. Setting up new studios is not an easy task, or one that's always guaranteed to succeed, which is one reason why Microsoft has preferred to buy existing developers wholesale. Managing so many new acquisitions is going to be an extremely difficult task for Microsoft, and yet it's starting a new studio from scratch. That's an even more difficult option. All the former employees who spoke with VGC commented on Microsoft's leniency on how little progress has been made over Perfect Dark. This could also be why Rare's Everwild, which has had a significant development trouble since 2019 announcement, also hasn't been outright canceled. What's not as surprising is Gallagher's more positive spin on the situation, where he says, in creating the initiative, we set out to leverage co-development partners to achieve our ambitions. And we're really excited about all the progress that we're seeing with our relationship with Crystal Dynamics. In this journey, it's not uncommon for there to be staffing changes, especially during the time of global upheaval over the last 2 years, and there's plenty more work in front of us to deliver a fantastic Perfect Dark experience for our players.
Did they just try to blame the fucking pandemic as to why they pissed off their lead designer, senior writers, and fucking quality control? Like, that's exactly what the fuck I just heard.
Well, they said, pretty much they said, I like how they said, it's not uncommon for there to be staffing changes, especially during a time of global upheaval. It's like, yeah, it's not uncommon for there to be staffing changes, but it's also not common at all for every lead staff member to just pop smoke.
All of your senior staff, all the top like lead staff members in every category. And even the ones that weren't involved in like creative design are gone, and you're just like, this is normal, it's fine.
But you only see like key figures like that leave post-launch. You don't ever see that happen in the middle of development or early stages of development. That's a bad sign. Yeah. It's very common for like lead writers, animators, and all that stuff, all the lead figures to leave and go on to another project once that game is done.
True. And it's also, and like I said, it's also common for like maybe onesie, twosies to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Some
might stick around for the next one.
You might see senior writers kind of pop in and out every so often, depending on certain games. Depending on, especially for some games, they may only bring on a writer for a certain section of the game. Right. As the story changes, they want a different perspective because they're getting a whole nother look at it. So they may bring this person on for the first quarter or first half of a big project. They do that their allocated part, and then they go.
Right.
Now, excuse me. No, but with this many people, no,
it's a bad sign. It's a very bad
sign for games in general too. When you have multiple lead writers, like story writers, and they're both gone. They just left, and not, hey, they got replaced with somebody. No, they're just gone. They said, no, I'm out.
They said, fuck you guys, I'm out.
Yeah, that's bad.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. So let's talk about DrDisrespect in the lawsuit settlement. Finally. We finally have a conclusion for DrDisrespect.
No, we don't, apparently.
I will admit I was wrong about my theory of what would happen after this.
Really?
So I had a theory that what would happen would be like Doc will win, and he will say, and they'll probably put like a gag order on him that he can never discuss any of why they banned him, and he'll get an answer of why they banned him. And then what he'll do is he'll say, fuck that, I'm still going to tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll settle and never give an answer, and he claimed that he knew what the answer was, and that he would he would just get the settlement and then say fuck your money and then still do it anyway. Like either way, he was going to tell everybody what it was.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be the case at all.
Really?
Yes. So DrDisrespect settles his lawsuit with Twitch, but we still don't know why he was banned from the platform. Sorry, guys. So Guy Beam, better known as the popular live streamer DrDisrespect, was permanently banned or permanently suspended from Twitch for reasons unknown in June 2020.
Weird to hear, like his name.
I know, Guy Beam. A year later, he launched a legal action over his ban, saying that the loss of his Twitch channel not only impacted him financially, but also did serious reputational damage. That's all water under the bridge now, and DrDisrespect and Twitch are friends again. Not really. So this is what he said in his tweet. I resolved my legal dispute with Twitch. DrDisrespect said in a message, no party admits to any wrongdoing. So Twitch. This is a dangerous precedent too from Twitch, because this shows they can do this, never tell you why, and get away and just pay you off to keep you from fucking ever, from ever admitting that they did anything wrong. Even though they probably know that they did something wrong, but they will never say it officially. So they're said no, and now of course Doc is like, I don't even know what I did. I don't even know why you banned me. Or he claims that he knows why they banned him, and he doesn't believe that there was anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
And Twitch is denying that them banning him was outside of the contract agreement. So nobody admits to any wrongdoing. And for them to just throw it away, they just paid him off and said, here's some money. Just go the fuck away. So, okay, it's not exactly a warm embrace and stirring rendition of the Auld Lang Syne, or Auld Lang Syne, whatever. But it's probably as good as we're going to get. It's been almost 2 solid years since Doc was banned, and we still have no idea what caused it. DrDisrespect himself claimed not to know the reason for getting the boot until several months later after it happened. In fact, he implied last year that the reason for the suspension was part of why he was bringing legal action against Twitch in the first place. Twitch confirmed that the settlement is an almost identically worded email sent to PC Gamer. DrDisrespect and Twitch have resolved their legal dispute. No party admits to any wrongdoing. That was Twitch's response when they reached out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in answer to the second most obvious question arising from the settlement, both Twitch and DrDisrespect stated that he will not be returning to Twitch. The first most obvious question, why did he get banned from Twitch in the first place, remains unanswered. Overall, I have to say that it's a very anticlimactic conclusion to one of the biggest video game dramas of 2020, which is, that's an understatement. DrDisrespect remains a major presence on YouTube, where he currently has under 3.8 million subs, and he's also getting back into game development prior to finding a game as a streamer. Guy Beam worked at Sledgehammer Games on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and Advanced Warfare, with a new studio called Midnight Society. The studio is currently working on what it describes as the best, most community-focused online PvP multiplayer experience the world's ever seen. And he's also getting into NFTs. But we're not going to talk about that. Because I don't want to. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I can't do it.
I'm still, so before you start on this, I'm really upset about this whole reboot thing.
With the Dead Space?
Well, not just like Dead Space, because yes, do I want to see good Dead Space games be made? You goddamn right I do.
But not a reboot.
But not necessarily a reboot. Like, I mean, it's really hard on games that have narrative story. And the reason why I say this is because when they redid something like a Mario like a Mario game remake, or a Mario Party remake, or a Crash Bandicoot remake, or like CTR, when they redid that, it was fine because there's not really that much of a narrative behind it. It's just the fun of doing those games, and they were legitimately old enough to where they were so far back it was really inaccessible to people. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't there was no way to download a Crash Bandicoot game unless you were a lot smarter than I am with like ROM hacking shit. Like, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
So, so I can understand when they did things like that, because like you didn't really need to do too much, and it didn't devalue the experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now what they're essentially doing is, hey, the first 2 Dead Space games that were still pretty good, we're just going to throw that shit out, because now at this point it's like, I almost would rather them at this point. Well, let's say, because like you said that people didn't like Dead Space 3. I thought it was okay, like meh, but like not like a awesome feeling about it, right? Excuse me. And so what is upsetting about this is that if you're going to do something like this, I would have so much more respect if they said, hey, listen, we fucked up the third game. We're going to erase the third game from memory. That one doesn't exist.
You mean retcon one, but keep the other two?
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to like do like a re-release for some of those things, like how like the Game Pass or like PlayStation has like their PS Now, make those things available. Like make them available. Give them like little HD updates. Don't resell it, but you know, make it available to gamers, because unfortunately this right here shows me that what's going to happen is that at least most of the time when I see it, they do like a Tomb Raider remake, right? Every single one of those new Tomb Raider games sucked dick. They were bad, every single one of them. And then they confused female empowerment with like beating the shit out of Lara Croft. And after a while, it got weird. Like
it kind of did.
Like,
I remember playing that and be like watching Lara Croft get the dog shit kicked out of her.
It was weird though, like because they really confused the whole, like, I understand that like you need to give your player or your character, right, some real hard adversity. You know what I mean? Moral decisions, you know, unfortunate circumstances. But when like you have like a like shit fest after shit fest where we're just beating the dog shit out of this strong female protagonist, I'm like,
who's a teenage girl?
I'm like, guys, you're getting really weird about this. Like,
it's like we're torturing a teenage girl.
Yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Dude,
we're torturing a teenage girl.
Adversity is one thing, but you were literally, this is turning into like
yeah, this isn't like adversity, like, oh, like you broke your leg and now you had to try to find out how to get through the map on this broken leg. Like, that's something cool. Like, you see your character struggle and do shit. But this is like, we broke her leg, and then for more adversity, we broke her other leg. Like, you're like, whoa, what the fuck's going on?
We
like,
shoved a spear in her ass.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
Damn,
like,
man. And then like when she dies in the game, like when you die,
yeah,
it was just like these really like
almost like very realistic like struggles. Like, oh man, I was sitting there. I was like,
reminded, what game did it remind me of? It reminded me of
I don't know what you're trying
there's
to
like there's a game where it's like when you die, it's like there's like a whole ass animation of your death where it's like very violent and very graphic.
I don't know, like what
I want to say it's Evil Within is one of them.
Evil Within might be one of them.
So Evil Within definitely is one of them. There's another game I'm thinking about where it's like you're a group of teenagers and you have to survive.
Oh, Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, that's it. And it's just like it's death scenes like that where her head gets like cut in half or whatever.
Or it also reminds me of like the second Outlast.
Yes.
Where like you get caught by one of the people and it shows them like stabbing you over and over again. You're like,
or like Last of Us.
Oh, The Last of Us.
The Last of Us, when you died, like it just showed you like a whole like animation of your brutal death, and then you just respawn. And you're like, fuck.
Oh no.
But it's like it's a teenage girl that you're trying to like.
Well, again, it's just because like so they did that reboot really poorly, right?
Right.
I don't think that it was a good game to remake, and unfortunately, especially with like Dead Space, I mean, I'm not too confident that they're actually going to get it right. And unfortunately, like who's redoing it?
Well, let's actually talk about it since I have the article up. So Dead Space Reboot will be out in early 2023. Target window was revealed in today's live stream, which was 8 days ago, and which also showcased some of the audio improvements coming in the sci-fi survival horror reboot. So today's big Dead Space live stream focused on some fairly granular elements of the upcoming reboot, such as audio occlusion, weapon sound effects, and the Alive system, which controls the heart rate, breathing, and dialogue of player character Isaac Clarke.
So this is a beat-for-beat remake.
Yeah. So basically, the more fatigued and tired you get, the more like it affects gameplay and dialogue.
To a degree, that's
kind of cool.
I mean, so
if you're like really stressed, your dialogue's gonna be different.
No, and I definitely understand that. Like, I think that's pretty well spot on. But I just know it's gonna be weird because I know what they're gonna fucking do is your character's gonna be super stressed out. Are you doing
all the time?
Well, no, not just like all the time, but like your character's gonna be really stressed out, really fatigued. Oh my god, you're freaking out, and then you're gonna hit a cutscene, and he's gonna be calm, cool, and collected, and he's gonna sit there, and then you're gonna switch back to the game where he's like fucking tweaking out.
He's like, okay, I can't keep going. And then it's just like, I'm
gonna
here to
do
kill
that.
you. So, but also got something a little bit more generally interesting, a launch window. We want to make sure that we're in place where the game that we're going to deliver is going to be delivering on expectations of fans. Senior producer Philippe Ducharme said, that's what's most important. So right now, we'll say early next year. We have a date in mind. We want to make sure that everything converges for this. So they're estimating.
Right.
Ducharme said that the game should be playable from start to finish in just a couple of weeks, although he added that it will still be in a pre-alpha state at that point. We believe that we're going to be in a solid position to be able to do the proper polish and the proper debug and meet the date that we have in mind, but for now I'll say early next year. Early 2023 isn't the most precise bit of dating I've ever run across, but it does give us something to look forward to. And frankly, it's closer than I expected, given the last time Dead Space Reboot in September 2021 sounded very far off. A year isn't imminent, but at least it's within sight. Let's see. So the breakdown of the Alive system reveals an interesting bit of trivia about the original. When Isaac Clarke was sprinting, injured, or exerting himself in Dead Space, the changed audio effects would play over top of the regular breathing audio. It was literally two separate audio channels playing simultaneously. It's a fairly subtle effect. I never noticed it, or at least I don't remember noticing it, but the reboot will feature transitioning respiratory rates, so Clark's breathing will actually change seamlessly. A live system is more than just improved audio effects, though. EA says it's EA's publishing it.
Fuck.
Yeah. EA says it's aimed at simulating a human limbic system, the part of the brain that controls behavior and emotional responses. When you watch a horror movie or play a scary game, the limbic system can trigger a release of adrenaline into the body, causing a physical response such as increased heart rate. The senior VO designer, Terry Calico, says in the video, in our game, adrenaline is derived from various values driven by external factors that have direct influence of Isaac's heart rate, BPM. External factors that act as adrenaline are the combat difficulty values, scripted events, and jump scares. Isaac's fatigue level, Isaac's oxygen level, and Isaac's health. We want Isaac to reflect how anyone would physically react in the scenario he's placed in.
That's concerning. And it's concerning because, not for the first game. Totally understandable, right? Never dealt with this before. This is all new. You don't know what's going on. You know, whatever, right? Cool beans. My issue with that, though, is... well, think about it like any traumatic event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You doing okay there?
Yeah, just keep talking.
So, think of any traumatic event, right? Are you really going to react the same way that you reacted the first time after 2-3 games of this?
Probably not.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's like most people's first time shooting a gun or going into like a boxing match or doing something, right? Like, it's fine after you're used to it. Like, there's no... Sure, you have some adrenaline spike with the physical activity and there's no way to, like, stop that. You know, cool. You know, and sure, you're right. Your BPM goes up no matter what when you're physically exerting yourself. It's cool. No problem. But, like, how are you going to make Isaac panic after we go through this game? And let's say we go into the next game and he's been having to deal with this stuff a lot, right? These fucking things are everywhere.
He's eventually going to get used to it.
He's going to be so used to it. Like, is he really going to panic when he sees one coming up to him? Fuck no. Sure, if one sneaks up on him, cool. Like, I get that. But, like, you know, are you really going to panic? No. Like,
no, you're almost going to expect it. So let's see what else. The live stream also featured an up-close look at the audio occlusion, which aims to provide players with an unparalleled audio experience by creating a sense of realistic audio projection.
And don't get me wrong, I do appreciate them trying to go that far in depth with it, though. Like, that's pretty cool, especially for horror games. I'm okay with it. I'm just saying, like, it's going to be weird if we go into, like, 3-4 games of this new series, and he's still, like, panicking just because there's one coming up to him. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like, that's going to be weird.
I mean, we'll see, man. Why is this fucking still here? We'll see. I mean, it could be good.
No, and I want it to be. Like, as much as I talk shit about it, and I still stand by what I said. I want people to come up with new shit. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's we've talked about this several times the last couple times I've been on here. but like From Software, right? They have their style clearly, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they made something different. They made, you know, Elden Ring, which is now open world, which is now has all these other aspects to it that are completely different from its other games. New story, new characters, everything. But they still kept their style to it, which is cool, right? Is this going to be just a trace for trace retread of what was going on? And that's my issue.
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I've seen reboots just be direct sequels to their last game.
Well, it's one thing.
I mean, look at God of War.
Well, it's different when you're making a new story, because God of War left all of its old canon intact. It said that was done, that happened. We're not touching that, right?
Right.
You know, and everything about God of War has been about what is happening now, which is fine because it's a continuation.
That could very well be for this,
because that'd be a continuation. But unfortunately, even if you do Dead Space like this here, I'm then going to start asking, it's like, how about this Walking Dead, right? First season or two, Rick and everybody was freaking out. This fucking zombie. Oh shit. Got to look out. You know what I mean? Fuck.
Now there's like no sense of urgency and they just kind of walk around them like nothing.
Well, yeah, because that's how people really would act.
And that's why
and
I always,
don't get me wrong. I do think that this series should have ended earlier than it did.
oh yeah, no.
But that's real shit though. And so if this guy, you know, if Isaac's really gone through all this shit, you know, and he sees, I mean, I'm totally fucking blank on the names right now and it hurts my feelings. But you know, if he sees one of those fucking, zombies, goddamn, I'm really forgetting what their names are.
I forgot to.
Oh fuck.
It's been so long.
It's going to bother me. But like if he, you know, if he sees an enemy coming up, is he really going to panic? If we've already gone through 3 games of this shit, you know what I mean? Like, how realistically, how do I expect him to react?
Unless, you know, I always said this about, like, going back to the Walking Dead analogy.
Mm-hmm.
There needed to be a change in how the zombies are. They needed a complete, like, we had a sense, there had to be like some kind of like change in how they're looked at as a threat. If we keep them what they're at, where it seems like they're just on, the zombies were on a starving decline, then which was honestly kind of like realistic to how it probably would be.
Right.
But at what point does evolution start to take play and you get different kinds of zombies? Like, well, I mean, they get faster. They evolve to survive now. Like, if there was, like, I remember seeing there was an episode I saw on a TikTok where they showed the ending where one of the girls turned and she was running, and they started showing that sprinters could be a thing.
Oh, in Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because they found the lab. They went back to the lab where that one dude was when in the first season, when they described what was really, everyone's got the virus, but yeah, it's like it triggers when you die.
Yeah.
Well, she turned, and she was more sentient of what's going on. And actually, like, after the guy left her behind and closed the door behind her, she had already turned, and then she got up pissed off and sprinted at the door. And it was almost like she remembered that he was there and was going after him. So it was like a very weird evolution that you saw that hasn't been in the show before, but it's very weird they're adding that now because the show is over with. This is the last season. So now they want to evolve the zombies in the fucking last season?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe that could be something for like a spinoff. Maybe it could be something like they continue it, but in a different area or different something.
I don't know.
Well, because it's like, there's a lot of places where like, there's a lot of stories where like 100%, if you start running out of things to do, it's like, I know not a lot of people like fucking JK Rowling anymore, but like I actually kind of appreciate the fact that like she wanted to keep writing in the world that she had created, but she didn't want to talk about the old characters. Like,
when she was talking about when she did Fantastic Beasts?
Yeah, because like those characters, their story was done. You know
right. I mean, there's still some of the old characters in like Dumbledore.
Yeah, it's just because he's old as fuck.
And but in this one, and Fantastic Beasts, it takes place well before Hogwarts days.
Right. And like that's fine. Like, I'm okay with stuff like that. It's not a spin-off where like the characters are like at the same place at the same time.
It's a different story in the same world.
Right. Like, that'd be fine. It's like they were talking about like making a movie about Knights of the Old Republic in Star Wars. I was like, that'd be pretty cool if you don't fuck it up, Disney.
Yeah, Disney.
Well, I mean, I still don't understand.
You a bunch of pedophiles.
Like, yeah, it's like that's something that I don't understand. I was like, how do you do well for like Avengers and for Marvel and for all these like animated movies that you do pretty all right for literally all of them, make good movies and everything. But then whatever cunt you fucking hired for Star Wars does not know how to make a Star Wars movie.
No,
at all.
No, the last 3 episodes. I mean,
Rogue One was okay.
Rogue One was great.
Yeah, like
Rogue One was great because it told a different story in the same universe before A New Hope.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like we were okay with that. But like the new fucking episodes that they made for like the new trilogy fucking sucked, man.
I was accepting of the first one. Mostly for nostalgia because we hadn't had a Star Wars in a while.
They already had problems with continuity in the first one.
It was pretty much A New Hope all over again.
That's fine. Like, that's fine to have like some callbacks to, its roots and stuff like that. That's cool. There was a lot of story arcs that we were excited about happening that like apparently just never fucking happened. And
then you have The Last Jedi.
That was awful. But like, even in like, I totally forget, The Force Awakens, even in The Force Awakens, fucking, the fact that Kylo Ren was struggling to kill anybody was absolute horseshit. You're telling me we got a dude who's in his 30s, spent his time since he was a boy growing up in the Jedi Order,
and a very powerful Force wielder.
Yeah, who's supposed to be a fucking Skywalker. Sure, not by last name, but by blood. Mm-hmm. Was a fucking Skywalker.
And then you give it to Rey.
And then they're like, and don't get me wrong, I'm okay with him not being the good guy. Like that was fine. He doesn't necessarily need a redemption arc. If he gets one, that's cool. If he doesn't, that's cool. But then they're like, well, he got shot by Chewie with a fucking bowcaster. I was like, yeah, the fact that happened at all is horseshit. Like that happened to background characters in the fucking Clone Wars. That doesn't happen to main characters.
I know.
Unless they are like restrained, which, okay, cool. That would have been different if like some very extenuating circumstances. But the fact of the matter is though, is that half the main cast should have been killed by Kylo in the first part because you're telling me that you got a dude who's in his 30s who grew up training in a new Jedi Order underneath Luke and then went to go train off with the remnants of the Sith or some evil order, the Knights of Ren. Exactly. And he went to go train off with them, and you're telling me that some asshole Chewie was just able to, I shot him with a bowcaster. That's why he's losing these sword fights. You're full of shit. Like none of that makes sense in Star Wars. In Star Wars rules.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And I was like, so you fucked it up from the beginning. And then people loved Finn, right? I liked Finn. I thought,
and then they threw away his story arc.
Hey, we're gonna get rid of him. And then they were like, hey, we're gonna make all the characters in our story fucking stupid. The fucking Salt Planet, a Hoth 2.0, right? It's okay if you want to reference one movie, but you can't do it for all of them. Stop trying to recreate Hoth on a smaller scale. And then Finn was going to sacrifice himself, right? And this bitch in a speeder that is going like 200 to 400 miles per hour. They're dodging fucking plasma bolts here. She's like, hey, I don't want you to kill yourself for the greater good, so I'm going to kill you by T-boning your ass in a fucking speeder that has no safety features. And
then I'm going to die.
Actually, no, I'm not going to lie. I was 100% cheering that she was dead. The only thing that I wish
that
would
was
happened,
a weird story arc. For
the
no
only
reason.
thing that I wish would have happened is that her death was a little slower, so it hurt more because you're fucking stupid.
I will never forgive the creators of that series for leaving us with nothing after Finn looked at Rey, was like, Rey, like he was going to tell her something.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? And he's like, I'll tell you later. And then we never go back to it.
Well, it's just like, it's really weird because like they tried to tell us a lot of this weird shit about how like, oh, well, Rey's a Palpatine. That's why she's so strong in the Force. I was like, okay, cool. She should have got fucking bodied by Kylo. Or at least by someone with Skywalker blood. And the reason why I say that is because
she's not a Skywalker.
She's not a Skywalker. First of all, you don't just get to say that shit. All right. But like the part that hurts me on this is that I don't like the trope of like Anakin was the chosen one, but that was legitimately his story. Whether you like it or not, in the very beginning of, Darth Vader's story, right? He's Anakin Skywalker. He is confirmed to be the chosen one. He is going to be the penultimate Force user until, he has his accident on Mustafar with Obi-Wan, right? That's fine, and that shows a reason why there's a limit on Darth Vader's power, but that also shows why Darth Vader is such an unstoppable force to 99.9% of everybody, right? That's cool. But you don't get to say, hey, by the way, so this dude is directly blood related to the Chosen One, but Rey is just, she's so powerful because she's a Palpatine. I was like, yeah, but Palpatine was like supposed to be like Yoda level, you know what I mean? And the only reason at the time that we were told that Anakin wasn't as strong as these people was because he was so young. And we're going to take the Chosen One and his bloodline and be like, they're just not as good. Apparently, if you're a Palpatine, you just get Sith lightning because you get a little mad.
Yeah,
like,
right.
The
whole thing was just like.
Not to mention too, as far as she was concerned, Chewie, I think Leia, I don't remember if so or not, but her friends were supposed to be on that ship. Fuck them. I'm gonna shoot it down. That'd be like if someone took you on a helicopter, and my response was, I'm gonna shoot a missile at it.
Nelson, help me! Here's a stinger.
Yeah, it's like that. That's the equivalent of what happened. Like, and so when people like bash on like Disney and Star Wars and shit like that, that's what we mean by the story was absolute garbage. It's not just about hating on Rey, even though she is the exact definition of a Mary Sue. It's about the fact that like the story writing was really bad. Like seriously, and I don't make that comparison lightly.
No,
it is exactly
I agree with
the same as if like my friends are being taken away on an aircraft and my only response
was to take it out,
was to shoot it with a fucking missile, and it crashes into the ground. And I'm sitting here like, oh, I didn't know I could shoot missiles. And then, you know, meanwhile, my friends who are supposed to be burning to death over there, you know,
yeah,
because it, if I remember right, it turns out that they weren't on it, but she had every reason to believe that they should have been.
Right.
So it's like, why are you like, what the fuck's going on? You know what I mean? I understand that like we've had people in the past, like Anakin got really mad at Padme and he force choked her, but that was a deliberate, like he knew what he was doing. Sure, he was consumed by, you know, his emotions and felt bad about it later. Cool. But like, who accidentally uses Sith lightning? Fucking no one. Like, you know what I mean?
Nobody.
Like that's insane.
You only ever see one person to use it, and that was Palpatine. And then after
Dooku too.
Dooku also, yeah, Dooku. But neither of those were accidental.
No, and it's like it's so weird. Like,
I don't know.
Could you imagine seeing Anakin like try to reach out to help save somebody, and he accidentally while grabbing them with the Force just accidentally goes, you know, like that's the kind of level of stupidity we're talking about with this.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
know.
Oh my
I
God.
know. Trust me, man. I try to pretend that those never happen. And I just leave it. I leave like Return of the Jedi as the last one.
All right, man. Give me a sec.
Oh, fuck. All right. All right, guys, we're back.
We're back.
No more Star Wars talk. We're done with that. We had our rant. Well, let's talk about We're going to talk about Street Fighter now. This one is, when I was listening to this, I was just like, what the fuck?
This is purely a company being greedy.
Now, Capcom does not have a good track record in recent years of being very good with its player base. And the reason why I say that is because with Street Fighter V, there was an incident that happened like around a year after Street Fighter V came out where all the fighters had logos and ads on them.
Oh.
So like you would have these guys, they would have like brands and shit on their uniforms, and it just looked like they looked like NASCAR drivers. And their gloves had fucking shit on it, their uniforms had shit on it. Guys that didn't have shirts on, they had shit on their skin.
That's weird.
It was super weird. And you could turn it off, but you couldn't earn XP if you did.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
They eventually, I think they eventually reversed that because the backlash was so swift. Because it was like, I don't want to see my fighters have all this fucking branding on them. I want to just play the game, but you couldn't advance your XP if you turn it off.
That's fucked. That's hard fucked.
Yeah, so them doing this doesn't come as a surprise to me. Because if you look, have you seen the Street Fighter 6 logo, the new one?
No.
All right, let's go down. Let's look at like
Strap fodder.
So we're going to look at all the Street Fighter logos here. So here's what the original Street Fighter logos. This is all of them right here, right?
Yeah.
This is the Street Fighter 6 logo.
It looks like every logo ever.
Correct. And in fact, somebody actually went over to this Adobe stock and saw that you could get this for like $80, which means they cut some serious corners on the logo. Now there's a theory out there that this is just a placeholder.
Oh, like it may not be the actual one.
It might not
just
actually
kind of using it as like a,
but
hey, until we get a real design
like,
put out.
Correct. If they get until they get like their official logo like finished, this is what they did. Obviously, like if you compare the two, the stock photo and their logo
is a slightly different font.
It's like the F is slanted different here. They've added a different, little effects here and then a number 6. But other than that, it's exactly the same as the stock photo. So they like spent like maybe $100 on this. But this is the reason why this is a sign of concern is because if they're willing to do this as something as simple as the logo, where else they cutting the corners at?
Oh, definitely. I mean,
it's not a good sign. So they already were getting shit for this. Now, Street Fighter community license unites fans, players, and organizers in outrage. So this week Capcom has announced a community license agreement for Street Fighter V. This would affect the way that the esports events are organized for the community and really limit organization. The response to the Street Fighter community license was frankly brutal. People hated it, and for good reason. After the initial backlash, Capcom has explained a bit more about things and their intentions, which I don't believe anything they're saying.
Excellent.
Street Fighter community license. So the Street Fighter community license agreement was just announced at the end of February. This was an agreement that would apparently apply to all Street Fighter V tournaments held in America. This is a licensing scheme, laying out more rules for events. It would force all tournament organizers to apply for the license before they were allowed to hold their event. So they would have to have a license before they can hold a tournament. This would significantly limit who could hold an event. So you couldn't just be any org. You had to be a licensed org. The license would require all events to be run under Capcom guidelines. This would add legitimacy to events as official, even on smaller scale. Capcom would also provide marketing materials. However, there was a major drawback to the Street Fighter V community license. The downside. One major factor working against the community license already was given Capcom more control over a system that was working fine already. However, there were more constrictions. All live streams, video, and photographs for events would be usable by Capcom without royalties, regardless of the agreements or arrangements with photographs and organizers. Arraignment, yeah.
God damn.
The prize pool and cash flow, Capcom had even more control. Capcom could choose to outright ban charging for spectator tickets. That's along with official merchandise. While it isn't guaranteed to happen for every tournament, this is worrying. Capcom could shut down an entire income for an organizer. However, it also extends to prize pools. The Capcom had the right to limit them. While the organizer had a say, Capcom would cap or alter the prize pool. So the reaction to the Street Fighter community license was largely negative. Most people saw it as an unnecessary and in places ridiculous attempt to control the esports community that didn't really need to improve on anything. There was a lot of negative reaction to the community license, however, it largely boiled down to viewing the license as a way to control American tournaments rather than actually help them in any way. So the response, let's see, the Capcom didn't take long to notice the backlash in their decision. They issued a statement on the entire thing shortly after. Let's get an actual breakdown of this. I want to get a straight up breakdown. Street Fighter tournament license. So let's look here. Let's see. Let's see if this will actually tell me all the different guidelines, because this will actually. I'm trying to find one that shows the breakdown of the straight up. The straight up thing about all this shit here. So, let's see. They first get an approval from Capcom via a request from a found at the bottom of the agreement page, run their event in congruence with Capcom's new guidelines. Let's see. Where does it say? It says, if I were to run a local tournament, I get to use Capcom logos. Capcom owns all footage of my stream. My event, content, and all attendees are now subject for the CPT and COC. I continue to incur financial risk. I now shoulder legal risk with Capcom if I breach this agreement. So Capcom gets the right to use stream footage and any photos or videos from the tournament. What else? There's also like the limit on how much your prize pool could even be, which me and you discussed off stream. I'm trying to find it. There was a whole breakdown of this that I couldn't find. Where the fuck you at, bitches? Here it is. So this is a set of guidelines. It is already just terrible. Obviously, you have to apply for a license to host the game, but Capcom has several strange rules for it. One of the biggest highlights is that you can't have a yearly prize pool exceeding 10 grand. But you also can't have one tournament at 10 grand. You have to split it in different tournaments. So that low of an amount makes other scenes like Dota and Overwatch look way bigger than anything Street Fighter can offer, while more they already do. The ruling goes to further, saying that you aren't allowed to have more than $2,000 in prize pools for a single event. Even then, sponsorship bonuses rule says you cannot exceed $5,000 and $20,000 for a single event and yearly, respectively. This is likely done to keep prize pools low during official events, while at the same time preventing the supposed smaller tournaments from dishing out prize pools that are higher than those events found in places like Capcom Pro Tour. Other highlights include prohibiting television or cable broadcasts, as if the ESPN deal from 2016 and 17 went south, and frankly, good riddance. And even getting into manipulating what you can verbally say while advertising your events, to quote them directly. So you cannot promote your event in any way that suggests that your event is endorsed by or affiliated with Capcom or our licensors in any manner. You cannot use Capcom's company logos or trademarks to promote your event. Furthermore, you must include the following statement in a prominent place in your event website and other key marketing materials. This event is not affiliated or sponsored by Capcom. That's what you have to say. Do not incorporate Street Fighter intellectual property, the Street Fighter name, or the Street Fighter logo into your event name or visual advertising. For example, do not say your brand and Street Fighter event. Rather say your brand event featuring Street Fighter. So you can't even show that your tournament is a Street Fighter tournament. You have to say you have a fighting game event with so-and-so hosting featuring Street Fighter.
Jesus Christ.
So you do not only have to get approval from the developers themselves, but you also have to go and abide by prize pool rules, cannot have affiliation with them, and cannot broadcast it aside through Twitch.
I think people are going to fucking loophole the shit out of this.
They're making it to where there isn't very many of them.
I mean, who says, so here's the thing. If you can't broadcast anything about it.
You can, so they said you can broadcast on Twitch.
No. But that's the thing. One, no one gives a fuck about Twitch, because I certainly don't. But I know there are people out there who like Twitch, but whatever. Point is, you can't use their logos. You can't even use the name of the product. How the fuck are you going to regulate how much money I dish out on a product on a tournament that is not affiliated with you, not run by you, not sponsored by you? You know what I mean? That is definitely reaching really far. Oh, but you can't use our products. I was like, yeah, but like, I'm going to go back to cars again. Ford doesn't get to decide whether I use a random Ford car that can't even have the Ford logo on it in a fucking drag race. Kiss my ass.
Right.
They are going to get so fucked on this, because I'm very much predicting that someone's going to break it. They're going to try to say something about it, and everybody and their fucking mother is going to sue the fuck out of Capcom. And they're going to be like, well, sorry, but there's nothing here saying that Capcom has anything to do with this. We're hosting a fighting game tournament. Who said anything about Street Fighter? Because seriously, you can't even show the fucking Street Fighter logo, which means you can't even show them turning on the game. Like, fuck.
It's weird. The whole thing is very weird. So it even says, otherwise obvious things are their lawyers not being responsible for mess-ups relating to events. No modifications are to be broadcasted, and talking about how your event uses their logos. This probably won't go over well with the community, which it's not. So this is what a tournament organizer and FGC Fighting Game Commission commentator Josh Iceage McWhirter told the following to Mick Wicks. That's a weird name. I can understand Capcom's desire to collect as much of the sponsorship dollars as possible themselves, as well as wanting to exert to control over their IP, but at what cost? This is out of malice towards the fandom that has kept Capcom's IPs relevant, or is just pure incompetence on the part of Capcom's leadership? How does restriction of sponsorships, prize pools help the players? There's so many questions with so few, if any, acceptable answers. So after hours of backlash, Capcom posted an update that didn't really say much except that they're evaluating their current policies. So this is them mentioning it. So this, of course, isn't sitting well with the fighting game community, tournaments, organizers, and members. While some understand the fact that there are several measures that need to be taken to quicken the approval process for tournaments, there's other issues that Capcom doesn't address with this very statement. Some questions posed by members of the FGC include, how can these measures help smaller grassroots FGC tournaments? How does this help local tournaments try to promote themselves? How does this create a stronger locals to majors pipeline? And will the safe spaces rule be applicable toward any current male factors? So let's see. What adds fuel to the fire is that comparatively, the KOF 15 scene has also shown SNK's willingness to work with FGC members to help promote their game. SNK helped several tournament organizers with prize pool additions and sponsorships through their esports support program. So this is a whole nother like brand, a fighting game, where Street Fighter is trying to take away from the actual organizers, and these other places are trying to find ways to help them because it's good for their brand.
Well, I just couldn't understand. This is like the Nintendo thing almost. Like,
well, it even says the only conditions to meet that these other companies want them to meet are the tournament has to exceed 16 people, and for the tournament organizers to adhere to all applicable laws while managing their tournaments appropriately. Whereas Capcom wants total control of everything. That other thing with the prize pool, your prize pool cannot exceed 10 grand per year, but also cannot exceed 2 grand per tournament. So you have to have several tournaments, and they cannot exceed a prize pool of 2 grand. And your sponsorships, basically, like any money that you get from that tournament, from sponsorships, merch, all that shit, goes straight to Capcom. And you can't use their logos and branding, and you can't like mention them. You have to like. It's weird.
I think that I think they're gonna get loopholed the shit out of.
I think so too.
Because now all you have to do is mod the game a little bit, make it look different. You can't show logos or anything.
No, you can't.
Suddenly, you don't have a Capcom tournament anymore. This isn't a Street Fighter tournament featuring modded game number whatever 00-12. Like, you know, who cares? Like, it's gonna fuck over Capcom, and also not to mention too. This is like the Nintendo thing. Why are you punishing your fan base who absolutely adore the abomination that you created because no one likes fighting games? But all jokes aside, it's like, why are you going to punish the fans who love your product so much that they're willing to go to tournaments? They get ridiculously good at this game, and you're gonna punish them for what reason? Like, because
Capcom wants the money.
But you can't have our logo. We're not affiliated. We're not doing anything like that with you. Nothing. No how. All things get disconnected except for your money in my fucking bank. And it's like, or Capcom, you could go fuck yourself, because, like I said, now people are just gonna mod the game a little bit so it looks a little bit different. Keep everything else the exact same. We're not playing Street Fighter. We'll do whatever the fuck we want. Like.
Right.
Like, that's what I think is going to happen.
It's the whole thing is weird. And I mean, it remains to be seen what Capcom plans to do to kind of overhaul this to make it less, restrictive on the organizers and the people involved in the tournament. Because as of right now, it's just like, what? Well, like, no one can really their whole reason for doing this. They're saying, oh, they're trying to like protect the brand, but on the other hand, it's like, but all of your agreements seem to be like you're trying to make the most out of it. Yeah. And give everyone else nothing.
Well, this is kind of like one of those things. It reminds me very much so of how Nintendo is the master of a finite resource. You know, I'm not going to lie. When you think of Capcom, you think of fighting games. You think of old retro games that aren't really being made.
You think
anymore.
Of games like Street Fighter, or you think of Castlevania.
Yeah, and those things aren't being really made anymore. Like, legitimately speaking, and I understand I'm not trying to like make fun of the community who like really enjoys this stuff, but it's the idea. When was the last time people were really excited for Street Fighter? Like legitimately.
Street Fighter 5, which came out what, 2018?
I would even argue that wasn't. Like, you know what I mean? How about this?
Or 2019.
You know what I mean? When was Mortal Kombat or when was Street Fighter really last time popular?
Mortal Kombat, when it came out with Mortal Kombat 11.
No, like legitimately popular. Not, oh, hey, cool, look at that, they made another one. You know what I mean?
When did Street Fighter come out? I spelled Street Fighter wrong because I'm stupid. Street Fighter 5 came out in 2016.
I'm just saying, like, even Street Fighter 5. How about this? I didn't know when Street Fighter 5 came out.
This was so long ago.
Well, not even just that, but I mean, like, those games are not as popular.
No, they're popular for a bit, for like a hot minute. Not a hot minute, but they're popular for a few months and then they just go away. Same with Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat, fighting games in general have a very low popularity rate compared to other games. So like Mortal Kombat 11, everyone loves Mortal Kombat 11. They say it's awesome. It was probably the trending thing for 2 months, and then it died off. Same with Mortal Kombat.
Well, it's the idea.
Or Street Fighter.
Well, it's the idea. Is what I'm saying though is that it's probably been since the early 2000s that this would have been a game that people really loved to play and kept playing it for a while. Right. We're now in 2022. These are not popular games. These are not games that are going to be bringing in the cash flow. Sure, for a minute, obviously they can be productive and get you a profit, but this isn't like your Call of Duties, your Battlefields. This isn't like your Elden Rings or your Dark Souls or the things that are popular. This is a dying breed of game that people do not.
I wouldn't say it's a dying breed. It's a niche game.
I would. I mean, well, niche definitely, but I would say it's dying because it definitely fell from the popularity of what it was.
No, because you got to think Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, they were revolutionary for what they were because they were some of the earliest games.
Exactly, and that's my thing though, is that these aren't the titans that they used to be. These are, like you said, niche audience games that aren't going to pull in a lot of revenue. So why are you going to punish the people who do love your product?
I know.
Like these, like, I'm sorry, like, stop trying to rake in all the money that you can, because the people are going to give you money regardless if you actually value them as customers and you make good games.
Yes.
And you treat them well. Like,
But it doesn't surprise me that Capcom's doing shit like this, because I mean, me and Doc did talk about this, how they were diving in the NFT world and selling screenshots of fucking Castlevania for like $60.
Yeah, no, you talked with me about that too.
And like, it's just like, oh, you're really trying to make as much money as you fucking possibly can by restricting these tournaments.
I think it's because they're in charge of such a finite resource now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now everything that they're doing is going to be, oh, well, are they really turning major profit? Because fuck, at least I know that Nintendo has quite a few series of games that at least have more than a few games left in them, even though it will eventually be done. And I think Nintendo's going to be in a lot of trouble at that point. But like, how about this? Do you think even if there's a Street Fighter 7, right? Even if there's another Castlevania game, what the fuck else do they have? Nothing. I know. So that's why
I mean, look at the rate that they get released. I mean, Street Fighter 4 came out when I was working at CarMax, which was in like 2010.
Oh, well.
So it seems like every 6 years there's a new Street Fighter game. I mean, we're only on Street Fighter 6 since it ever existed.
Oh yeah, and like we said, they were early games.
Yes, and now like here we are at 2016. Now we're in 2022, and now we just revealed 6.
And so like I think that this is another thing where like, hey, they're having a real hard time because I don't know what else they really have going for them, and we may see a lot of companies die here pretty soon because no one's making new shit. Like at least the way the market is now, the market is going towards things that are safe. that no one's taking a risk. And
You play it. You can only play it safe for so long.
No, and I understand that because, well, it's like people.
No, I'm agreeing with you. That you can only play it safe for so long.
People were playing it really safe until suddenly Dark Souls became its own genre.
Like Soulsborne games.
Soulsborne, when Souls really like I say Dark Souls because Demon Souls was first, but it wasn't as popular. I mean, but you gotta understand, like even when Demon Souls came out, and it was Game of the Year in 2009. You know what I mean? And so people were like, "Oh shit, people really like this." And then Dark Souls came out. And people were like, "Oh my God, this is a fucking masterpiece." And what's been really happening since then? And I'm not saying this isn't a thing that only Dark Souls has done, because there's been plenty of other amazing games that have come out that really showed the light to it, though. But especially with, it's not like it was before. When we were growing up, it was you got whatever game you got, not because we had, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. It was because there was really no way to en masse know what games were good.
Right.
And now I think that a lot of companies are going to be struggling with it. It's like, sure, you have some of the giants like sure, there's Microsoft now who has a fuck ton of money, but like, you had things like Activision. It's like if Activision was really left to its own devices and wasn't, I'm going to say, rescued by Microsoft, even though I think Microsoft's going to run them into the ground and make them worthless anyway.
I hope so. God, I hope so.
I kind of know so. We'll talk about that later. But
talk about it now.
Does Microsoft really have Microsoft is supported by what it does, what it makes in hardware. You know what I mean? Because that's what it was for. That's what Microsoft does. Is they make like hardware, computer.
Well, I mean, they've been like with his game studios, like with Xbox and shit. Like,
yeah, but it's backed up by that. How about this? When was the last time that you knew of a games console company that made a console where 1 out of every 3 consoles just didn't work?
Sega.
And look where they're at.
Yep, I know.
And you know what I mean? And so
well, I mean, we did talk about like the redemption of Microsoft when it came to the gaming, when it came into the console gaming world.
True,
I mean, like then you get like the Microsoft Game Store.
Yes.
Like where the Game Pass.
Sure, you have the Game Pass.
Xbox Game Pass.
But that's still but how about this? Let me ask you something. What happens when in a couple years from now when it's only Sony and Microsoft battling it out? Right? Cool. Maybe one will win. Maybe they won't. But games are going to suck. Why? Because every other developer who had newer and different ideas than you died out because Microsoft isn't making a profit off their Game Pass. So the game companies who are going to be doing this stuff, if you know your game's going to essentially be sold for, I'm going to make a totally made up number, but for like $5-10 a month, and you know that your game's just going to be sold for that because no one's actually going to buy the damn thing. Are you really going to, pour your heart and soul into this? No, you're not. And the only reason why they're doing it is because they can afford to do that. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why Microsoft is doing this. They're not doing it because they want to give you a good deal. They're doing it because they know they can eliminate every bit of competition. Anyone who doesn't want to get bought out by Microsoft is just going to die off because they can't afford to sell their games for $10, $15 a month.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Except for maybe Sony. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Like who else could stand up to something like that? No one. And so what's going to happen when everything's run by Microsoft? It's like it's literally going to turn into Ubisoft. Meaning,
oh, man, don't say that.
It's going to turn into Ubisoft. It's going to be everything's the same fucking game. Everything is going to have the same fucking problems and the same minor part of benefits because now you're not getting a bunch of different third-party developers. It's like the PlayStation 2. That's why a lot of people regard the PlayStation 2 as the best console of all time, not because of everything that PlayStation did, right? Don't get me wrong. They made a good console for the time and, they had some good games of their own. Cool. No problem. But the reason why the PlayStation 2 kicked so much goddamn ass wasn't because of their first-party games. It's because the time that it was the first time we really had technology that could realistically portray just about any dream you wanted to. Sure, it may not have looked amazing like it does now, but it didn't matter how much money you poured into the game. It still was going to look like PS2 graphics.
Right, yeah.
But you could do great things with it. And so small developers could make good looking games and big time range developers can make good looking games. And people had, the ability to be creative and do a bunch of different shit. But nowadays, when you look at indie developers, you either get something that is fucking NES era looking bullshit like fucking Shovel Knight, which they're not bad games, but those aren't going to be big hitters.
No, just because visually and mechanically they don't.
You know what I mean?
Play like
and so you're either so you're either an indie or small range developer who can only make games that can only perform to a certain level, or you're a big range developer like Ubisoft, fucking Sony, Microsoft, or fucking Activision, and you're gonna pump out the same shit every year. It's like look what happened to Call of Duty. Look what happened to fucking Assassin's Creed. You know what I mean? Look what happened to all this stuff and all their other games that they were making that were beloved and done up and done very well. It's like, when was the last time we had a game about Rayman, right? The first game was a fucking artistic dream in terms of like just the
Rayman, damn,
just the visuals. I'm not talking about the game because the game was hard as shit, but
yeah, you're right. Visually, it looked good. It looked great.
It was a creative fucking game, right? It was very well done. Again, hard as fuck, but like, cool. And then
kind of like Cuphead.
Exactly. Only more drugs and less like depressants, but you know what I mean? More like LSD and less like heroin. But point is, I'm just saying I'm just calling it out as it is. But there was a lot of creativity at the time where you could have a whole range of games, and that's why the PS2 library was fucking massive. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
now, when I go onto my PlayStation or your Xbox, cool. You might have, if you have an Xbox, you might have things like Halo. You might have things like Call of Duty. You might have things like Assassin's Creed, Apex, other shit like that. And then you have something like in PlayStation, you have maybe God of War, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty,
Horizon Zero Dawn.
And I'm not saying that all those games are bad. Sure, like I'm waiting for the new God of War, but like, why did we have to wait for From Software to give us the next creative game? You know what I mean? But
it's just the way that they do it.
No, but for From Software, but they can only develop games so fast.
Right. Which is why they must have different studios working on different things because.
Oh, From Software?
Yeah, because I mean, like you got to look at like, didn't they do another Demon Souls game recently?
They remade it.
Yeah, they did a remake for Demon Souls. They had Sekiro.
True.
And then now they have Elden Ring.
Yes, but Sekiro was
it was like 2 years ago.
Sekiro?
It was like a year or two ago. Yeah.
Sekiro was older than that.
Sekiro came out in 2020.
I don't know if it did.
I can. Well, good thing I have a computer right here. I'll show you. Because I remember it was up for Game of the Year.
Was it 2020?
Shadows Die Twice 2019. Which it came out, it came out in March 2019.
So you had Sekiro, and then in 2021, 22 was Demon Souls?
The Demon Souls remake, yeah.
And then now we have Elden Ring.
Let's see what games that they had. So you had Sekiro in 2019, Elden Ring in 2022, Dark Souls in 2011, Bloodborne in 2015, Dark Souls 3 in 2016. So it seems like that they actually kind of do have, what is this? Dyrachne?
That must have been one of their like older.
Eternal Ring, Dark Souls. They have a bunch of stuff. I mean, going all the way back to the fucking 90s.
Yeah, they started.
Armored Core?
Yeah, I think they started off with their Armored Core series.
Really?
Yeah.
So it seems like since about Dark Souls era, which was, let's see, Dark Souls 1 was in 2011. Then in 2014, they had Dark Souls 2. And 2016, they had Dark Souls 3.
2015,
they had Bloodborne. They have a steady release cycle here. They've been working. They have a lot of projects. And it's really weird. Besides Dark Souls and Demon Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring, and Dark Souls, they're all different in their own way.
Oh, definitely. I mean, once you got out of
the same concept,
well,
harder than all shit.
But once you got out of the Souls series, you had, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2,
right?
Well, Dark Souls 1, 2, and then 3. Well, once they got out of that, they did like Bloodborne. They did like, the guns a little bit faster, a little bit more of a streamlined process. Then they went to Sekiro, which was entirely different in and of itself. Sure,
it was all in Japan.
It did feel like a Souls game. Also, I will still never forgive them for the fact that those like red warning symbols came up in fucking Japanese characters. Like I'm supposed to read the damn thing. Like, I'm so fucking mad about that. But
it's like, what does that mean?
Exactly. I'm sitting there. I'm like, dude, like, don't get me. And I was like, oh, I'll just change it in the language settings. It doesn't change, and that pisses me off. But like,
didn't they fix that?
No, at least not that I remember. But and then we had Elden Ring, and Elden Ring in and of itself is completely different. But this is a big enough developer where they can afford to do that. And that's my point. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, though, is that Microsoft is just going to make the market stale. I have no confidence that they're trying to make anything better, because, you know, it's like, well, what's going to happen? What has Microsoft done that we are like, fuck yes, we're happy they did this? When was the last time that happened?
Been a while.
It's been a hot minute. You know what I mean? Their business practices overall are not healthy business practices for a good market. And don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting a company to look after the well-being of other companies. Like, I understand. But like, it's just the idea. Like, I mean, how much of this am I really supposed to, like, you know, just go with the fandom? Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, and don't get me wrong, I hold the same thing for Sony, but right now Sony isn't the one who's trying to like hoover up a bunch of companies and make them and turn them all into Microsoft bots.
You know, it's funny. Like, speaking of Microsoft, companies Microsoft sucked up. There was Activision news that me and Doc covered on the Regiment episode.
Oh, how was that?
The family. Remember the employee that killed herself?
Yeah.
The family is suing.
Yeah. No. Me and you talked about that.
Yeah. Right now, it was really weird, because it was like they were gathering evidence past, like, post.
Yeah. Well, so they were gathering evidence, but like, because I know me and you talked about how they held onto her cell phone,
and it appears to be wiped,
and her company laptop. Now, granted, we never looked into that too much, and at least not enough, because
there really isn't much information on it.
Well, because I know we talked about the company laptop is entirely within their rights to hold on to, because that does have their stuff on it. That's understandable, a little sketchy, but I do understand. But then there was like the cell phone, and I was like, one, you have no right to hold on to that. Like, that's not up to you. That's not a you thing. My issue with that was when they said it appeared to be wiped. Did that mean that there was nothing on it, like factory reset, everything's gone? Or was that just, hey, we didn't find anything on there, so we're saying it was wiped? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it might be the latter, honestly.
Like, because I don't know, because
I don't think anybody will.
Well, because here's my thing, though, is, and I'm not, I'm not like defending Activision, because one, if they asked for the fucking phone, you should have immediately just handed it over and said, hey, this is yours, because it's not ours. But at the same time, too, though,
I think they did, but they had to ask for it. Like, at first they had it, and then they gave it to them. Like, they took possession of it, and then when authorities asked for it, then they gave it to them.
Again, I don't know how sketchy that looked or how that was actually done, but the reporting on it made them look sketchy. And it's just like, also too, like, I don't know how much evidence you would find on a cell phone for someone who did an abrupt suicide. You know what I mean?
Like, from what it sounded like, it didn't seem like it was abrupt. It seemed like she was facing a lot of bullshit in the workplace for a while.
I mean, I understand, but just because you face bullshit in the workplace doesn't mean you're going to kill yourself. You know what I mean?
I was just saying, what if people were passing around photos of your dick?
I mean, that depends, though. How do they even know it's mine? Because as it clearly said in this, again, you know, not trying to defend Activision, but I do want them to be honest about this, only because I don't want another family to take advantage of their child's death, because that's what it looks like.
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook. Yeah, exactly. Fucking milk those poor kids in their graves. But anyway, like, it's just the idea, like, people toss around, you know, what if it was a random picture of a fucking vagina, but it turned out not to be hers, but they said it was as a joke, right? Is that fucked up? Yeah. But like, what if it's not hers? Or who even knows that it's hers? Sure, she was getting shit at the workplace, and should it happen? No, and I agree. Like, I'm on her side for that. But do you just get to off yourself and say it's their fault? And I was like, no, you probably have other problems going on, because people,
you work in mental health, so
people get bullied all the time. People go through shit like that all the time, and they don't kill themselves. So it's really hard for you to say this is the reason. And I don't know how much evidence would you really find on the phone to begin with. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, we already touched on it. So
it's something, even though
I agree with you.
Even though I don't like Activision, it's something that I think it serves as a very real thing, though, because what that means, though, is now, because there's a bigger precedent set to this. That means that if I have a kid and you have a kid and they go to school together and your kid picks on my kid and my kid offs himself because he has major depression,
You could sue me.
I could sue you because your kid's being a kid. Like, you know what I mean? And sure, stop bullying, whatever. But legitimately speaking, you're never going to stop kids from picking on each other.
No.
And is it really your kid's fault because my kid offed himself? Not really. There's something else going on there, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? How about this? What if I said I got really mad at something, or like, my car broke down, and so I offed myself and I blamed Ford in my suicide note? Would anyone even take that seriously?
Probably not. No. Ford, your car sucked and I'm done.
Right. No, you can't do that. You know what I mean?
It's a tricky situation for sure.
And it is, but I think it needs to be handled very carefully, because then as soon as you start blaming suicides on things, and it's one thing if someone is like torturing you over a long period of time and there's legitimate evidence that this one person is doing something, that's fine. But just saying like, oh, I got harassed at work and I just offed myself out of nowhere. Okay, cool. You went through a lot of this for a long time, and I understand that it's stressful and it's hard, but is that really the company's fault that you offed yourself, or did you have mental issues before? It's so hard to prove, and you can't just say, well, we're going to sue the company, because now any kid who does something by accident, you just sue who the fuck ever you want, even though there's no plausible way for you to take responsibility or prevent anything like that. So now, what are people supposed to do? It sets a very dangerous precedence in that. And the fact that like, hey, we have a grown woman who committed suicide.
Was it you and I that talked about this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it wasn't. It was an episode we talked about. I thought me and Doc did it on a non-posted one.
No, it was me and you, and I was sitting there. I was just like,
you're ranting. You're ranting now.
Yeah, there's no fucking way, man. Like, it's so much of a stretch to just say, yeah, no, we're gonna blame them. And why are they blaming Activision? Because they have money.
Money.
I'm sorry. Like, it looks so bad on the parents, and I hope people really give them shit for it, because there's no fucking way, man.
Well, you ready to move subjects?
Yeah, because I need to eventually get going here.
I know. All right, so last topic. So the stolen NVIDIA certificates used to hide malware in driver downloads. So last week, NVIDIA confirmed that it had been victim of an internal hack, which this is a couple weeks old now.
Yeah, no, we talked about this as well.
Though it claimed no customer information was compromised, while hackers have made some very strange demands, threatening to release sensitive corporate data. What? Sensitive corporate data if NVIDIA doesn't unlock some of its powerful graphics cards for crypto mining. Fucking crypto bros. Regular users don't need to worry much. Today, we're seeing the first effects of the hack on end users. NVIDIA GPU driver packages with malware hidden inside. While it's always possible for malefactors to host links pretending to be drivers in the hopes of installing viruses, Trojans, and other nasty stuff on a user's PC, this situation is more concerning. And here's why. The hackers appear to have leaked NVIDIA's official code signing certificates, and a means by which users and Microsoft can verify that a downloaded program comes from the publisher it says it's from. So this is allowing files containing a host of popular malware suites to be posted and downloaded, bypassing Windows Defender's built-in executable verification and slipping past antivirus software. So Bleeping Computer reports now that 2 expired but still usable verification codes have been compromised and used to deliver remote access Trojans. Another example, using the NVIDIA verification to sign fake Windows driver, was also spotted. While it's possible to block the installation of packages with the expired codes using Windows Defender, it's advanced technique that probably only of interest to your company's system admin. For regular users looking for the latest graphics card drivers, or any driver for that matter, the advice is is the same as anyways. Be careful to only download it from the official source, the NVIDIA website, which I even said, why would you not download from that?
No, I kind of agree.
You don't download from a fucking third-party site, so you know that you get the product that you are getting.
LimeWire.
Fucking back to the LimeWire talk. I mean, come on, man. Like, aren't we well past, like, don't open the fucking emails that you don't know that they're from? I mean, there's hackers that can make emails appear to be from somebody else, or even like instant, like direct messages, like in Discord. because there was a Discord hack going around where the people that clicked on the link, it gave the hacker full control of that person's profile, and then they would send that link from that profile to their friends. So it looked like, and it would often be in like already established group text, like or like message threads. So it would look like that your buddy that you were already texting in the messenger, it was sending you a link, and you're like, what the fuck's this? And you open it, and it's now that hacker has control of your Discord account.
It's so weird.
It was like going around all over Discord. I remember seeing this. Like we had a few incidents in Regiment where that happened, and a lot of guys had to completely like reset their accounts.
Fuck.
And then re-verify for Regiment because like that same thing happened. Like that hack was going around. They're getting smarter, man. They really are. All this for fucking getting rid of the throttle for crypto mining. Like these fucking crypto bros, man. And I understand why NVIDIA even has that, because they don't want these GPUs used for that.
Yeah.
They want it used for what they're intended for, gaming. They don't want the graphics and gaming and computer performance. They don't want graphics cards used for mining crypto, which is why they put the throttle in there. And it's also the fact that CPU or GPUs are being used for crypto. So that's why GPUs are so fucking expensive now, because people are like, you got these scalpers that are buying them by the droves, and you can't get your hands on one, and they're so hard to come by. And NVIDIA is having to like fucking make more because the demand is still in need. And it's all because people want to mine cryptocurrency.
It's so stupid.
That's why these crypto mining servers that you see, like where like these illegal crypto mining operations would have giant rooms filled with like game consoles or servers that are just stacks of GPUs, so they can mine as much as they can. Because these GPUs, like they don't mine it fast. Like if you have like one GPU, I think you mine like a fraction of a coin per month or some shit like that. I only know this because my mom got one. She had a Bitcoin miner. When I first came home from Italy, dude, I was so pissed when I saw this thing. It was like a PC, but it was like a server with a metal frame around it. And its only purpose was to pull crypto data and create cryptocurrency with the GPU. And I was like, how many Bitcoins are you able to get out of that? She's like, well, it mines probably, because it's all data. So it mines probably like, a fraction of data every couple of months. I'm like, what the fuck? And like, you're lucky to get 1 Bitcoin per year or some shit like that.
Fuck, dude.
And that's providing it was a legitimately mining crypto, which most of them were not. Most of them were just taking up space in your house, and you have a server. You just spent like tens of thousands of dollars on a fucking server with like computer parts in it that did nothing. Just took power. That's it. By the way, that crypto miner that I was telling you about was $30,000.
Jesus.
And the whole idea was like, it'll pay for itself after a year. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. This week, the topics were pretty lackluster. I mean, you get these dead weeks like that, and it is what it is,
I'm aware.
I'm drafting. I always say this, but I am going to like for real draft a template for the next episode, so I have things to present to you. I want to find things on the internet and show it to you. I want to do to you what I did to fucking Eldridge. Expose you to the dark parts.
You already showed me.
I've showed you some. I haven't showed you all.
I don't know what else you're gonna do to me at this point, man.
You're just gonna have to just accept it. I also got to figure out that fucking vent, because you can hear it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and this fucking noise canceller is supposed to stop it, and it's not. So it means I'm gonna have to fucking change my noise gate. Turn my threshold. Yeah, talk into that real quick.
About what?
I'm trying to fuck with the threshold here.
We're gonna do that at the end of an episode?
Yeah, well, I didn't fuck it. Why not? Yeah, you're right. Don't do that at the end of the episode. So, anyway, we'll see you guys next weekend.
Yes.
What are you doing next weekend? Nothing?
Yes.
Correct. Did you ever think about what you're going to do about the gym membership or what?
I haven't decided yet. I really got to look at prices.
What?
I really got to look at prices. I haven't really decided yet.
Yeah, I mean, you also keep in mind that there is a fee every year. It's like $70. It's like a maintenance fee type thing. Basically, what it is, it all goes towards new equipment, which they're always putting new equipment in.
Well, actually, I was pretty impressed with how much they had this time.
Yeah, I mean, their equipment that they have is really good. Even though a lot of it's like the old school iron shit, there's some stuff they'll never get rid of. There's some equipment that I really encourage that they would get rid of, like that squat rack all the way in the corner. No one uses it.
Oh, actually, I was 100% gonna be like that guy who uses it, because especially if we go on a day where like it's a bit more busy,
yeah,
like I will straight up go into that small squat rack and just start using it for no fucking reason.
What would you do in it? Squats?
Yeah.
The thing that sucks about it is that the bar adjustment is not adjustable. It's bolted in.
That's fine because I'm not that tall.
Huh?
It's fine because I'm not that tall.
Well, yeah. That's the other thing. Like it's all really short.
It's not that short. I was.
It's not terribly short, but I mean, you can't.
It's enough for me to do squats.
The other squat racks, you can adjust it like to the perfect height. Where this one is like you have 3 settings, and if you're not either one of those,
there's more than that on there. But like, I understand what you're getting at. To where if you're outside that range, it's kind of like, well, fuck, like
that's that bench that I was showing you.
Yeah,
it's the same way with that. There's only 3 fucking levels, and all 3 of them suck because the one at the very top is too high for me. The one in the middle is too low for me, and the one at the bottom is extremely too low for me.
Yeah.
So like your height, you're like really what you're doing is when you get the bar off the rack, you're pushing forward with your delts, which you kind of don't want to do when you're like unracking like that. You're like using all delts to get it off because that's just where my arms are. And you're also using your shoulders to stabilize yourself on the bench because it's so narrow.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And like me doing 225 on that one fucking thing.
Yeah.
Easy. Doing 225 on that, it makes it feel like it weighs 25, 40 pounds more than it actually does. Because of the whole way that the bench is set up. It's like super narrow, super awkwardly heighted and shit. So I was going to order a pizza, but you're on a fucking keto diet like a little baby. So that's the only reason why I didn't order it. I was going to order it while we were doing this. And yeah.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, it'll do. Anyway, we're going to wrap up. We've been at it for just that 2 hours. I mean, we're going to cut the break out that you had to do because you're on duty.
Yes.
Unfortunately. At least on the next episode, you won't be.
No, I won't. So.
Alicia, oh, yeah. So Saturday morning, I have to go to O'Hare to pick up Alicia.
Ooh.
At 6 in the morning. I gotta be at O'Hare at 6 a.m.
Fuck, dude.
I know. And I work until 10 p.m. on Friday, meaning that I have to go to bed as soon as I get home so I can get up at 5 whatever the fuck and drive to Chicago to pick her up. But I mean, I hope she's having a great time. You know,
Spirit camp.
She's at this like little spiritual retreat thing. God bless her soul. God bless her heart. You know, I love her so much. She really is the best. And you know, she really wanted to do this trip. And I'm not making fun of her. Like if she wants to do that,
I mean,
I wanted to go. I felt like it would have been good for me too to go because it's more like, you know, kind of.
I don't know. I feel like as soon as you found out they were only handing out vegan food, you've been like, "Fuck this place."
Oh my god, I would have been like, I would have gotten a rental car and I would have been like, we are going to get real food now.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Vegan food, just nuts and fucking yogurt and plants, and it's just like.
It's better for you. We don't have any protein.
It's funny because when she went to Florida, like last month. She had this issue where she went the whole trip and didn't shit one time. She didn't shit till she got back. Mostly because she just didn't have to. She just couldn't.
Probably stressed.
And that and like, you know, they weren't really eating well. And now she's going to be at this place and she's eating all vegan food. And I'm pretty sure it's going to completely irregulate her. So she's either going to fucking have constant diarrhea or not shit at all. Again, she's gonna come back. It's gonna be one of those situations. You know when you're coming home from work and you're almost home and your butthole is talking to you, and it's just like it's all right there. It's like your body knows that when you're close to home, it's just like it's coming, It's coming now.
We're ready.
Dude, there was one time at work because I work security. There was one time at work I straight up damn near shit my pants, and it was a lot of poop, dude. It was so much poop. Like I even plugged the toilet up from just the poop alone.
I feel like the worst ones though are when you feel like you really have to shit, but then you go to the bathroom. There's like a little bit of shit at the front, and then it's like all gas after that. Like you didn't even really shit all.
What do you think that was when you were on your fucking duty call?
It
was like a few turds, and most of it was just fucking hot protein gas. And it's just like I've been sitting here fucking ripping this entire episode. I don't know if you smelled it or heard it.
I've luckily not. So
I was hoping that you did, because it's funny because whenever I would do these episodes with like the original guys like Mike and Brandon and Van,
yeah,
like the one thing they always would say was, "Get ready for Brock to come over because his farts are gonna be rancid," and because I would always come over to their house to record these episodes when I did them portably. Like I would go there, bring all my equipment, set up, but it would often be at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I had already worked out.
Already done everything.
I'd already done everything for the day, had dinner, and then now I'm over at their house and it's all coming out.
Ripping ass.
It's all coming out. And they smell so bad.
Because there are times where like I feel like I really have to shit. I'm like, oh God, like we might not make it. There's like almost no shit involved.
Or no shit at all.
There's only a couple turds. And then you're just like, all gas, like, you know, what the fuck is this, man? Like, and it's weird because you can feel like your body deflate after that.
Yeah, it's like
you can feel all
your
that
guts,
pressure,
your guts just drop.
Like your entire, like all the pressure is gone, and you're like, I feel better, but what the hell? Like,
that's yeah, I know exactly that feeling. And like for me, it's like my farts are atomic. They're known to be atomic. So like whenever I'd go over there, dude, I'm like ripping, and it's just like hot farts, and then they're just like, dude, what are you doing? Please stop. You're killing us, man. And they always would joke. My farts were so bad, we would play Pokemon Go at the lake, down at the lake, and we were outside, and I would still clear a crowd from just the protein farts alone.
Did you catch the Snorlax?
No, unfortunately. Snorlax wasn't a thing yet. This is like the early days of Pokemon.
Oh wow, it's really weird. I don't want to think about that.
What? Just Pokemon Go craze?
No, the early days.
The early days of Pokemon Go?
Yeah, but it's been out for a hot minute now.
It came out in 2016.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
I remember like going to the lake and there would be like mass crowds of people at the lake playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And they would like have vendors and shit out there. It was really cool. But also, like, as it started, you could see, it was weird because you could physically see the player base die out. Because you always hear about it, and we always read about it, but to physically see it was strange.
It's weird, yeah.
Like, watch the hype die. Like, the hype was crazy. You'd have thousands of people at the lake just playing Pokemon Go, and then it just fizzles out. And you probably now, when you go to the lake, you probably see like 10, 15, 20 people just walking, and maybe like one or two of them are playing Pokemon as they're doing it.
Yeah, it's weird.
I actually had to delete the game because it became a problem. I remember going out to dinner and stuff, on dates with Stephanie, and I'd be sitting there at the dinner table like trying to catch something.
Yeah, but how much of that is your fault? How much of that was
100% my fault. It was all my fault.
What I'm saying though is that if that relationship was better, you probably wouldn't have. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
Like that's what I'm getting at. But
anyway. That's a whole nother story for another time. And those of you that have been around since then have already heard it 500 times. That's something I really need to keep talking about.
Excellent.
Anyway, I hope you guys have a good weekend. Love you guys and appreciate you for being here. The next one won't be as boring, I promise. Will be more fun.
Yes.
I'll bring more fun to the table.
We'll bring.
You like fun? Fun. I like fun. So
we'll bring like fucking stream poppers.
Oh, I can make it fun right now. I got that gummy worm.
Oh god.
Yeah, you want to see that gummy?
Nah, I'm okay.
You want a piece of it?
No.
It's two-ended, dude.
That doesn't make it better.
It tastes. No, it's actually really good.
Anyway, guys, so we'll see you guys next week.
Next week on the Blacklisted Gaming Podcast. We love you guys, and hope you have a good weekend, like I said before. Bye.